Okay guys, welcome back, and we are now into week 5. We took a break week 4, and we're going to start by continuing our exploration of tuplets. So the idea of a quadruplet is fitting 4 notes into 3 beats. You'll see those in 3/4 time, or sometimes just in 4/4, dividing 3 beats of that measure, but equally spacing 4 even notes on top of that. And then we got the half note triplet, which is actually like the opposite. It's like 3 notes, 3 half notes over a 4/4 meter. So it fits 3 notes into 4 beats. So we're going to focus on 2 exercises that do those things. And then we're going to continue with our chromatic solfege, but this week we are changing keys in a melody. So we're modulating, which means we're going to have to just flip our solfege around anytime we see that the key changes. And we'll talk about how to do that in this exercise. Okay, let's get started. So in rhythm 1, we're in 3/4 time, and so 3/4 divides the measure 2 plus 1 normally. It could be the opposite, 1 plus 2, but usually it's 2 plus 1, and so I like to break down my measures that way. So you've got 2 quarter notes and 1 quarter note with a mezzo piano dynamic, and then the second measure is the same exact thing. Now here's where we got our first quadruplet, and I can't divide the measure because of that. The 4 quarter notes are squeezed into 3 beats. And it's really the same concept as the cross rhythm, the 4 versus 3 cross rhythm. Okay, so we get that again. And then we have 2 quarter notes plus 1 quarter note, half note plus quarter rest. So these are all pretty simple. Now we're going to switch to mezzo forte, 2 quarter notes plus 1 quarter note, and then we've got another quadruplet, so I can't divide that measure any further. Okay, now we are getting into some trickier things, but there's a point, so let me just show you. Dotted eighth, 16th, followed by 2 eighth notes. That's the first part of the measure, and then the last beat is a syncopated 16th note. So that's going to be T, ki, ti, 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 ki, ki. All right, so those are things, it's a little challenging, but those are things that we've done. Now watch what happens when you take the same pattern and you add ties to it. T, ki, 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 ti. Oh, so let me try it again. T, e, e, ki, e, e, t, e, e, ki, e, ti. T, ki, ti, ki, ti. Now the effect of that actually, I mean, if you just leave off the last 16th note of the yellow box there, the final 16th note, you make it a dotted eighth, for example, then you get literally the same way that you would count quadruplets over 3 beats. Okay, so you get, it's like every 3 16th note pulses you can change. So T, 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 T. And that's what happens here. The same kind of counting. So you can actually break down the quadruplet rhythm by using the pattern from the previous measure with ties. All right, now here we've got a half note and a quarter rest. Next line, quarter note, 2 eighth notes, followed by 2 eighth notes. Easy stuff. Quadruplet. And then again, we've got the same kind of relationship that shows how the quadruplet breaks down into 16th notes. The only difference is in the yellow box, you wouldn't have the 16th note and the 8th note at the end. Those would be a dotted eighth, and that would equal 4 dotted 8th note beats basically. And then that turns into another quadruplet, and then you get the same kind of a thing, but it turns it into a syncopation pattern, which is the same thing as before. But again, that's the same thing as the quadruplet. Then we get half note, quarter rest, quarter note, 2 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes, quadruplet, quadruplet, 4 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes, half note, quarter rest. All right, let's set the metronomes to 120 and let's start this. Ta, 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 ti, ki, 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 ti, ki, 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 ta, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ti, ki, 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 ti, ki, ti, 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 ki, ki, ti, ki, 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 ti, ki, ki, ta. Ta, ti, 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 ki, 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 ti, ki, 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 ti, ti, ki, 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 ti, ki, 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 ta. Ta ti 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 ki 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 ti ki 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 ti 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 ta. Okay, now in rhythm 2, we've got the opposite relationship going on. So you're gonna see 3 half note triplets in a measure here, and that's against the 4/4 rhythm, the meter. So I break down 4/4 into halves. So the first measure, forte, we got 2 half notes, 1 half note and then another half note. So that breaks the measure down exactly down the middle. Then the next bar, we've got quarter note 2/8, quarter note 2/8, quarter note eighth note triplet, quarter note eighth note triplet. Okay. Then we've got our half note triplet that takes up the entire bar, so I can't divide the bar any further. Then we've got half note, quarter rest. Now we're into a new dynamic piano. We've got 2 quarter notes followed by a quarter note and 2/8. Next measure, quarter note triplet, quarter note plus an eighth note triplet. That takes up 2 beats, and the other 2 beats are 2 quarter notes. Then we got our half note triplet. So that's your 3 versus 2, because right, it takes up half of a bar. It's 2 beats, but you're squeezing 3 quarter notes into those 2, where normally 2 would fit. So we worked on that last time. That's just a continuation of the same thing. Next bar, 2 eighth note triplets back to back, followed by 4 eighth notes. Then a quarter note, 2 eighth notes, quarter note, quarter rest. Now we're going to get back to forte, quarter note 2/8, quarter note eighth note triplet, and then quarter note triplet, half note triplet takes up the whole bar, half note triplet takes up the whole bar, and then you get half note, half rest. So at the end there, you can kind of see a process of growing the triplets, right? From the eighth note level to the quarter note to the half note level. Cool. Let's do 126 on the metronome, and let's try this. Ta, 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 ti, ti, ta, triola ta, ola, ta, 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 ti, ti, ta, triola ta, triola, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta. Ta, ti, ti, ta, triola, ta, ola, ta. For the melodic portion, I want to start with an etude that highlights 7th chords. So we're in D major, and the first 4 notes are actually a major 7th chord, that is a major triad on the bottom with a major 7th versus the root. So the tonic major is actually a major 7th in this case. Do, mi, sol, ti. It's a beautiful chord. Then we go, the next one is a minor 7th. It's the 2/7. Do, la, fa, re. That's another really pretty chord. I love 7th chords. And then that's followed by a dominant 7th. Sol, ti, re, fa. And that resolves to mi, do. You jump up a minor 6th, which is another one of my favorite intervals. And then from there, it's pretty much do, la, down to the la, which could be supported by a 4 chord, but it goes right back to sol, mi, which is a tonic chord. And then the very end is fa, sol, do, and we get a cadence. Okay, so this particular etude just focuses on 3 different types of 7th chord, the major 7th, the minor 7th, and the dominant 7th. All right, let's try that out. Do, mi, sol, ti, do, la, fa, re, sol, ti, re, fa, mi, do, la, sol, mi, fa, sol, do. So now, when we get into second melody, I wanted to actually try and sing some songs, because once we get into the level of modulation, then you can actually start to look at real pieces of music, because pieces of music never stay in one key. We always are modulating. So I thought I would share with you, there's a Mozart song called An die Freude, and I thought we would sing it and go over how to think of changing the solfege while it's going on. So let's take a look. Here's the song. It's in F major, 2/4. And I'll just go 2 bars at a time because this music is really organized by 2 bars. And you can see that each 2 bars within itself is pretty simple, right? So you got the beginning. Do, re, mi, re. Okay, really simple. Then it continues on from there. Mi, re, mi, fa, re, ti, do. Okay, not too much going on there, except you have a fa, re, ti, kind of like a dominant 7th outline there. And otherwise you have tonic notes, mi and do. So, stuff we can do. And then it goes on. Do, mi, sol, fa, re, do. Again, tonic triad, and then go down to fa, and then down to re, do. And it continues. Ti, re, fa, mi. All right, so we've got now an imperfect authentic cadence there, and we've outlined the dominant 7th chord, ti, re, fa, and we've resolved it to mi with do on the bottom. So that's a tonic chord of root position, but the soprano has the 3rd. So we call that an imperfect authentic cadence. Now we keep going. Sol, mi, do, nice tonic triad, and then la, sol. Great, keep going. Sol, fa, fa, mi, mi, re. All right, so you can see that it's all stepwise going down from la. And what's interesting to note, though, is that in the yellow box that I've left it off, we've got a half cadence, but it's a tonicized half cadence because of the B natural in the bass, in the left-hand part. So we're not leaving the key of F just yet, but we've tonicized our half cadence onto C major. And that's going to actually impact us because from the tonicization, the next phrase actually continues in C major. So let me show you what I mean. So we finished on re with a G, re, and then when we get to the next part, let's sing that same note G, but as sol, sol, do, la, fa, re, and then it keeps going, do, ti, do. See, now we're basically singing the notes of the C major scale. So although there's been some chromaticism with the B natural, it's like you can think of being in diatonic C major and sing this exact melody. So it's not as hard as it might seem to be at first glance. I think the really cool feature is the fact that there was the half cadence just before this part we're up to right now, and it tonicized the half cadence, and we sang the note G as re, and then in the next bar we sing the same note G, so it makes a connection as sol in the key of C major. All right, let's keep going. Do, mi, do, la, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Yeah, so we had a little perfect authentic cadence with a cadential 6/4 in C major right there. Okay, so the first section of the song we sang in F major, and then the next section of the song we sang exactly in C major using some B naturals. All right. Now, once we get to that cadence at the end there, the last measure on the slide, we've got our tonic do and the do in the bass, so it's a PAC. Now, the lick in the piano uses a B flat again, so it takes us out of C major and into the next. Okay, now we got some chromatics. Lands on F sharp. That's a surprise. We thought we might land on F, right? Like sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, and continue in F major. But no, we're tricked. Sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, D. It's an F sharp, do sharp. So I said D there. But actually, that's not what the solfege should be. If you look at the broader context, it appears that we're in G minor. So I can sing that. That's T in the bass, and then I can sing re on top. Re, me, fa, me, re, do. See, and I got that because I could tell that the F sharp in the bass was resolving to the G, like T do. And then if you just try out the solfege, just thinking of these two bars in G minor, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, it makes perfect sense. And it makes sense with the harmony as well. Okay, so now we're in G minor, which is 2 in the overall key of F. Let's keep going with this. Oh, looks like we're still in G minor. Le, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Oh, yeah. So these 4 bars are all in G minor. But then at the end of that bar in the yellow box, we have F naturals come back. And it looks like we're going to come back to sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol. Yeah, we're back into F major. Let's keep going. Sol, la, fa, mi, do, ti, do, la. Nice triplet over 2. 3 versus 2. Sol, la, fa, fa, mi. Keep going. Sol, mi, do, la, sol, fa, mi, sol, ti, re, do. Ooh, the bass played a D there, so I made a nice deceptive cadence. And that means that we're going to end it off with a nice, beautiful PAC. Sol, fa, mi, la, do, ti, re, do, fa, mi, re, do. So we're back in F major for the end. Okay, so the whole piece is in F major, but after the first couple of phrases, we go into C major for a phrase. And then we go into G minor for a phrase. And then we come right back into F major for the ending. So at each point, we're going to flip our solfege to the key that's being represented. And I think that the most extreme kind of chromaticism really happens in the first 4 bars of this slide. But again, it's not that extreme if you think of it as G minor. But you see all these F sharps and B flats and E flats, and you wonder what the heck is going on. Well, it's just a little melody in G minor. And then right after that, we just plop ourselves right back into the tonic F major. Okay, so let's just try this out, and then I'll leave a blank little time slot at the end of the video for you to perform along with the piano accompaniment that I did. Do, re, mi, mi, fa, re, ti, do. Do, mi, sol, fa, re, do, ti, re, fa, mi. Sol, mi, do, la, sol, sol, fa, fa, mi, re. Sol, do, la, fa, re, do, ti, do. Do, mi, do, la, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, le, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol. Sol, la, fa, mi, do, ti, do, la, sol.